Hello students, welcome to our history class. In this class, we will discuss the part first of the Vedic Age. In the previous class, we have discussed the Indus Valley civilization of India. So in Indus Valley civilization, we have discussed that how Indus Valley civilization was declined and what were the major reason or major cause of the decline of Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization was declining or started declining around 1900 BC and completely declined by 1750 BC. After the decline of Indus Valley civilization around 1750 BC, or after 250 years of the decline of Indus Valley civilization around 1500 BC, some people came from Central Asia and Russia, according to Max Muller theory, established around the Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan region on the bank of Indus River and established their civilization, and these peoples were declared or renamed called as Aryans, and this whole period is known as the Vedic Age. So this is the Vedic Age topic we have to discuss. We have to basically, what is Vedic Age? When the Aryans used to stay in India and when Vedas were written, or the major four Vedas were written, is known as the Vedic Age. So this topic we will divide it into two parts. The part first where we will discuss the Vedic life, means the life of the Aryans, and in the part two we will discuss the Vedic literature, the Vedas written during the time of Aryans. Clear? So now let's start the topic. In today's class, we will discuss the Vedic Age topic, the origin of the Aryans and the life of the Aryans. In Vedic Age, we will discuss that how Aryans came to India. In origin of Aryans, we will discuss that what were the and from where Aryans came to India according to different theories. And then we will discuss how Aryan basically after coming India, how they established what were the political life, religious life, economical life, and the social life of the Aryans. The images used in our slide deck are for educational purpose only. We respect the intellectual property right of the original creator and owner of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concern or issue, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. Okay, so Vedic Age, we generally do divide Vedic Age into two parts, the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. As we all know, Aryans came in India around 1500 BC and the Vedic Age was declined around 600 BC. So this whole 900 years we divided into two parts. The first is early Vedic period. What is early Vedic period? The period when Aryans came to India and they are struggling to establish in India. And the later Vedic period is started around 1000 BC to 600 BC when Aryan properly established in India and basically used to stay in India. So why we divided the Aryans or the Vedic Age into two parts, the early and later Vedic Age? There is a difference, or there is a reason why we divided early and later Vedic Age. In early age, when we basically continue the session or the chapter, we see that during the early age, Aryan basically use barter system, and in later phase basically they discover or invented iron as well as gold coins also. So we will discuss some basically points or some differences between early and later Vedic phase. Like during early Vedic period when Aryan established in India, there was Varna system, there were Char Varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But in later phase, the Varna system were converted into caste system. Clear? So early Vedic period and later Vedic period, there were two types of, or we divided the Vedic age into two parts, the early and the later. Initially 500 years is known as the early Vedic period and later 400 years is known as the later Vedic period. Clear? Okay. Now let's understand the origin of the Aryans. Origin of Aryans according to the Max Muller theory. Max Muller, who was a prominent scholar of 19th century, he proposed the Aryan migration theory, suggested that Aryan were a nomadic Indo-European group, origin of Arya setting from Central Asia. So what Max Muller said? So according to Max Muller, Aryans belongs to the Central Asia and Russia region, means particularly this region Aryans used to belong. They were nomadic. Basically, they were semi-nomadic. They used to do agriculture as well as postal. Postal means domestication of animals. They used to do shifting agriculture. So they basically do agriculture at a particular places, then they after 10 or 20 years they shifted to another place. So that's why they were nomadic, are in the basically searching of the new place. From Central Asia to Russia they came to India. So this is the theory which is proposed by Max Muller. According to Max Muller, Aryan came to from Central Asia to Russia, and they were nomadic. They were Indo-European group origin, and they came India for the purpose of agriculture or in the search of new fertile land. Clear? Migration. According to this theory, Aryans migrated into the Indian subcontinent around 1500 BC, gradually moving southwards through the passes in northwest mountains. Theories regarding the origin of Aryans and migration of Aryans. Why Max Muller said that Aryan came from Central Asia and Russia, and why we accepted the theory of Max Muller? Max Muller gave the theory of the similarity of language. According to Max Muller, or generally we know that Aryans used to speak Sanskrit language. The Sanskrit was the major language of the Aryans. At that time when Aryan came to India, the Sanskrit were also spoken, or the similar language which is basically similar to Sanskrit is also spoken in Central Asia and Russia. So on the basis of the language similarity theory, Max Muller said that Aryan came from Central Asia and Russia in search of good fertile land. As they were nomadic, they used to do shifting agriculture. Clear? Next is Central Asian homeland Max Muller Aryan migration theory. So let's completely understand that where from Central Asia Aryan came to India. This is known as Central Asian homeland theory. Proposed by scholars like Max Muller in 19th century, this theory suggests that Aryan origin of from Central Asia, possibly in the region around the Caspian Sea. So they came from the Caspian Sea or steppes of modern day Ukraine and southern Russia. According to this theory, Aryans basically came around 1500 BC. Aryan migrated into Indian subcontinent through the passes in northwest mountain. Gradually, they settled in the fertile land of Punjab and Gangetic plains. We all know, as according to the theory of Max Muller, we discussed that they were basically searching the fertile land for agriculture. Why Aryans established in India, or particular why they came to India and why they established in this particular location? So basically, there were 7 rivers when Aryan basically came to this location. There were 7 rivers which were flowing like Satluj, Ravi, Chenab, Byas, Jhelum, Indus, Saraswati. This was the plain area of the India. Due to these 7 rivers, there was sufficient water for irrigation. Also, the plain area were very fertile. At this place, due to 7 rivers were known as the Saptasindhu. So Aryan enter in India. They came to Saptasindhu. They saw the richness of the land and the availability of now basically water system in this particular area. That's why they established in this location. Clear? So why Aryan established in Punjab and Gangetic plain, or we can say basically near the Saptasindhu region? Because of the fertility land and sufficient water which are basically coming from the 7 major rivers. Argument: linguistic evidence such as similarity between Indo-European language and archaeological finding have been cited in support of this theory. So this is the major reason why we accepted this theory, because linguistic evidence, as Aryan used to speak Sanskrit in India, and at that time the European language or Indo-European language is also similar to that particular location. Next, out of Indian theory, this is known as indigenous Aryan theory. So some Indians basically condemn this theory of Max Muller. According to Indians, or the Aryans basically are Indian origin. They shifted from inside to outside range, or from Vindhya or central to basically West India. This theory proposed that the Aryan were indigenous to the Indian subcontinent and did not migrate from the outside. Key arguments: supporters argued that Vedic culture and language developed locally in India, and there is evidence of cultural continuity and genetic diversity within the Indian subcontinent. Clear? Critics argue that this theory does not adequately explain linguistic and archaeological evidence that suggests connection between Indo-European language and cultural outside of India. So there are lots of theory which explain about the origin of the Aryans. According to Max Muller, they came from Central Asia and Russia. According to the Indian theory, they were not migrate from outsider, they were Indian indigenous. Next is there is a Anatolian homeland theory. Now let's understand the Anatolian homeland theory, which is related to the origin of Aryans. Basically, this Anatolian homeland theory is proposed by the scholar like Colin Renfrew. This theory suggests an Anatolian, which is modern-day Turkey, homeland for the Proto-Indo-European language family, which include the ancestor of Indo-Aryans language. Means, according to Colin Renfrew, Aryans basically originally belongs to Turkey, as the Indo-European language family is similar to the Turkey language. So basically, which include the ancestor of Indo-Aryan languages as well as. Clear? Migration. According to this theory, Indo-European speakers migrate from Anatolia into Europe and South Asia, leading to the development of various Indo-European languages branches. So from Anatolia to Europe, they shifted, and basically a branch of Aryans shifted to Europe and a branch of Aryans came to India, according to this Anatolian homeland theory. Clear? Okay. What are the arguments of this theory? It is based on linguistic and archaeological evidence that indicate early movement of people and language across different regions. Next is steppe homeland theory. So there is another theory which is known as the steppe homeland theory. So steppe homeland theory, supported by recent genetic and archaeological studies, this theory proposes a steppe. A steppe is a Eurasian, Europe or Asia's grassland homeland for the Proto-Indo-European language family, including Indo-Aryan languages. So according to this theory, Aryans belong to the Eurasian grassland, which is known as steppes. So migration, according to this theory, Indo-European speakers migrate from the steppes region into Europe and South Asia in multiple waves, bringing their language and culture within them. Argument: genetic study of ancient DNA and archaeological finding of steppes culture support the idea of steppe pastoralist spreading Indo-European language and culture through migration and cultural integration. Clear? So these are the theories basically which explain the origin of the Aryans, from where Aryan came to India. We have discussed the Max Muller theory. According to Max Muller, the Aryan came from Central Asia and Russia according to the language similarity or linguistic base. Then we also discussed the Indian theory. According to Indian theory, the Aryan were not originate from outside. They are the Indian origin, as the culture of the Aryan is similar to the previous basically civilization of the India, and also mentioned in the history of India. Now, as I told you, Aryan came from Central Asia and Russia according to Max Muller. They basically came to this particular location which is known or which were known as the Sapt Sindhu, some part of basically Pakistan, Punjab, and Gujarat. Why this particular location were known as the Sapt Sindhu? As there were famous 7 rivers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6: Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Byas, Satluj, and the Ganga. Ganga is later the Saraswati river were the prominent river. Later in later phase, the Ganga was the most important river. So in geographical context, the early Vedic text mentioned 7 rivers that was significant to Aryans, and due to these 7 rivers, this particular place were known as the Sapt Sindhu. So in which place Aryan first came in India? So Aryan came in the place of Sapt Sindhu, where 7 rivers were flown. What were the 7 rivers which were important during the time of Aryans? The first river is Indus, and this river were known as the Sindhu river in Rig Veda. The second river was Jhelum river. Jhelum river was known as the Vitasta river, and the name of the Jhelum Vitasta is mentioned in Vedic. So this is the present name of the river, and this is the basically Vedic name of the river. The third major river was Chenab river, and the Chenab river in Rig Veda mentioned as Askini river. The fourth is Ravi river. In the Veda, the river is known as Purushni. Next is Byas river. Byas is mentioned as Vipasha. And the sixth is Satluj river, which is mentioned as the Shutudari in Vedas. And the 7 rivers were in early phase. The 7th important river was Saraswati. And in later phase, the 7th important river was Ganga river. So the easternmost river mentioned in the later Vedic text is Ganga, but in early phase, the major river was Saraswati. Clear? Next is reason for the migration to Aryans. Why Aryans came to India? As I told you, basically, possibly reason for Aryan migration include environmental change in that place, population pressure, or conflict in their origin of Aryan soil homeland. Maybe there were some tribal conflict between Aryans and other tribes. That's why Aryan moves towards India. Or due to basically as they were agrarian, the primary occupation was agriculture and domestication of the animals. So India's fertility, land, abundant resources, and favorable climate may have attracted the Aryans to settle and establish themselves in the Sapt Sindhu region. Clear? Next settlement of the Aryans. Aryan initially settled in the northwest part of the Indian subcontinent, particularly in the region along the Indus River and its tributaries. Center of settlement, major settlement including area around present day of Punjab, Haryana, and some part of western Uttar Pradesh. And this whole area were known as the Sapt Sindhu. Clear? Okay. Next is, how was the political life of Aryans? The political life of Aryans was same as today's political life. As we all know that the basic unit of the political life is family and kul. The family, the group of family made villages, the villages made block, the block made district, the district makes a state, and the state makes center or India. So during the Aryans, the political life was same as now. The families and kul was the basic unit. The families made village, the village made jana, the jana made tribes, and the tribe made pashu, basically Vishyam, the Vishyam made the kingdom. So the political life is same as now. So Aryan society was organized into tribal janpadas and the tribal chief known as rajas. There were 2 political units which were known as the daughter of Prajapati. The first was Sabha and the second was Samiti. So Sabha and Samiti was the 2 major political units during the time of Aryans, and they were known as the daughter of Prajapati. What was Sabha and what was Samiti? The Sabha was an assembly of elders and prominent members of the tribe which were responsible for decision making and governance. And the Samiti was a larger assembly of the entire tribe where major decisions were debated and decisions decided upon democratically. or the major purpose of the Samiti was to basically elect king. So during the time of Vedic Age or Aryans, the king was directly elected by the peoples. But Samiti was the part of early Vedic Age, as in later Vedic Age, the king became hereditary. So the Samiti was basically removed. So Sabha was the part of early and later both Vedic phase, but Samiti was removed in second phase or the later phase, as king. In early phase, the king was selected by Samiti, but in later phase, the king became hereditary, so Samiti was removed. Next, how was the economical life of Aryans? So basically, Aryans were depend on, or the completely the economy was depend on the agriculture and the domestication. And in domestication, the cow was the most prominent animal during the time of Aryans. The first is agriculture, the second is animal husbandry, and third was the craft and trade. So Aryans practiced agriculture. They cultivated crops such as barley, wheat, rice, pulses, and vegetable, but wheat and rice were the major crops. During Indus Valley civilization, the barley and the wheat were the major crop, but during the time of Aryans, wheat and rice were the major crop. Animal husbandry, cattle, particularly cow. Cow was the most prominent or most devoted animal during the time of Aryans, held great economical and religious value. The person who basically domesticate cow known as Gomat or Aganya. Cow were declared as Aganya and the person were known as the Gomat. They were valued for milk, dairy product and draught animals. Craft and trade, they also engage in crafts such as pottery, metalwork, weaving and bed making. Trade with neighboring tribes and regions was essential for acquiring goods not locally available. Next, religious life of Aryans. Deities, Aryan religious was polytheist, with gods and goddess representing natural force and element, major deities including Indra, Agni, Varuna, Usha. Means Aryans generally used to worship nature only. Like they used to worship Indra, the god of thunder and war. They used to worship Agni, the god of sacrifice and the strength. They used to worship Varuna, god associated with cosmic order and justice. They used to worship Usha, goddess of dawn. Rituals and sacrifice were center of Aryans' religious practice performed by priests to appease deities and ensure prosperity and well-being. Sacred texts, the Rig Veda, the oldest Vedic text, contain hymns dedicated to various gods and provided insight into Aryans' religious beliefs and practice. So this is also written by during the time of Aryans. During the time of Aryans, there were four varnas, there were four classes. What is the difference between varnas and caste? Varnas, when basically varnas mean the adoption on the basis of occupation, and the caste means hereditary. If there is a Brahman and his son is work as a Kshatriya, then he will declare as a Kshatriya according to varnas. But in caste, the son of Brahman is declared as a Brahman. So when caste is divided on the basis of occupation, then this is known as varna. When it is hereditary, it is known as caste. So according to Aryans, or basically it is mentioned in the 10th mandal of Rig Veda, Purushakta, that there were four varnas during the time of Aryans: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The origin of Brahmans came from the mouth of Lord Brahma. The origin of Kshatriyas came from the arms of the Lord Brahma. The origin of Vaishyas came from the thighs of Lord Brahma, and the Shudras are originated from the feet of Lord Brahma, according to Rig Veda 10th mandal, which is Purushakta. The Brahmans, the highest varna, consist of priests, scholars, and teachers responsible for ritual, sacrifice, and preserving sacred knowledge, which is Vedas. The Kshatriya, the warrior and ruling class responsible for protecting administration and governance. They wielded political powers and were tasked with defending the community. Vaishyas, the agriculturalists, traders, and artisans who engage in commercial farming and craftsmanship. They contribute to the economical activity of society. And Shudras, the laborer and service provider who perform menial tasks and supported the function of the society. They serve the other three varnas. Clear? Next is life of Aryan in Vedic age, particularly among the early Vedic. The cow held a significant culture. religious, economical, and social importance. There were two words which were used on the name of cow. The first is Goduli and second is Gavyuti. What are the religious and symbolical significance of the cow in the life of Aryan? The cow was reversed as a symbol of wealth, prosperity, and fertility. They used cow as a gift to priest. It was associated with several Vedic deities, most notable Aditi, the mother of all goddess, and the Surbhi, the divine cow that grant wishes. Economical importance: cattle, including cow, were crucial for the economy of the early Aryans. They used cow as a barter system in the early age also. They provide milk, which was a staple food and used to make curd, ghee, and various dairy products. Cattle also serve as a draught animal for plowing field and transportations. Social status and wealth. Ownership of cattle, particularly cow, was a measure of wealth, and social status means the maximum number of cow if a person have, then he was declared as the wealthy person. A person's prosperity was often measured by the size of their cattle and herds. Ritual sacrifice: cow were used in the Vedic ritual and sacrifice as offering to gods. They play a central role in rituals such as the Ashwamedha horse sacrifice, where a cow were often included among the ceremonial gift or a gift as a feast. Legal and moral consideration: the killing of cow was considered a serious offense in Vedic society, punishable by strength measures. Also, protecting cow was seen as the moral duty, and laws were laid down to ensure their welfare. Literacy and artistic depiction: Vedic texts such as Rig Veda contain hymns praising the cow virtues and its role in sustainable life of Aryans. And in basically Rig Veda, the cow is pronounced as Aganya. Artistic depictions of cows and bull are found on seals and potteries from the Harappan civilization, indicate their importance even before the Vedic age also. Clear? So this is the part first of the Vedic age we have discussed. I hope you like this session. Thank you.